This 800 Ford tractor started overheating, so I bought a radiator and a thermostat for it. I started searching YouTube to find someone changing out the radiator and thermostat on an 800 Ford, and I couldn't find a video, so I decided to make one myself. While I'm changing out the thermostat on this 800 Ford tractor, the website I consulted indicates this thermostat fits gas engines for Ford tractors from 1953 to 1964 and fits models from the Ford NAA model, that's also known as the Golden Jubilee, the Jubilee, as well as models from 600s, the 700s, the 800s, the 900s, 2000 and 4000 models. Now, one of the things I want to show you is I've already taken off the shroud on this Ford tractor. I've got it over here. So here is the tractor right here. One of the things I want to show you that's really gave me some trouble is, now that it's off, you can see it really well, but that bolt, or actually that nut over there that's encased, toward the end, it started just sliding around in there, and I had to put some vice grips to hold it in place. With everything exposed, it looks like, well, that's not a big deal, but when everything's still on and around it, it's hard to get in there and do that. I just wanted to let you know that that's one of the things that I encountered. Otherwise, it's a pretty simple operation, taking these bolts off all the places. See the bolt there, same thing on the other side, bolt here, bolt there, and around over here, there's some bolts down here that you take off, but that's a pretty simple operation. The other thing I wanted to show you is the thermostat, and again, as I was searching around YouTube, I couldn't find anybody who had done this. Now, I've already loosened this up, and so let me get the tripod. So now what I wanted to show you is here is the thermostat housing. I've already loosened up these bolts. They're out of there. So I'm going to take this bolt out. I just put that in there to kind of show you where it's at. And I'm going to take this off and bring it up. And as you'll notice, there is a thermostat in here. There it is. It goes in there like that. And when you buy a thermostat, you just replace it in there. This one might have been okay, but since I'm changing out the radiator, I thought it'd be a good idea to get a thermostat as well. So it just goes right in there like that. I know some of the older models that I looked up on the internet, they have an inline thermostat, but this one does not. If it's 1953 to 1964, it should have one like this, especially this 800. That's the way it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just open up this radiator that I bought online and show you the new thermostat and things that we have. So here we go. Let's take a look. So here is our radiator. By the way, it came with these two rubber washers to kind of provide a little bit of stability and cushioning for the radiator. And then of course you have the radiator, you have this small hose, and this small hose will be the one that goes on top. And I do have my what are they called? Tell I'm not going scripted. You have these clamps. These clamps will go with this to hold it in place at the top of the radiator. And then they sent two of these, so depending on which model you have, you use one of these. And just to be honest, at this point, I don't know which one it is. So when we get a little bit further in and get everything in place, I'll see which one of these hoses works best. So that's what we're doing there. Again, here is our radiator. I'm going to get into that in a minute. And here is our brand new thermostat that we will put into the Ford tractor. This one, I'm going to tell you, is a 180 degree thermostat. Some of the things I saw online said, you know, way back when they did 160 because the antifreeze, they didn't have access to antifreeze like we do today, and so that's the reason I chose a 180 degree thermostat. So there's your thermostat. Also picked up a gasket to go on there. And so, yeah. Let me go ahead and tear into this radiator now, and well, not tear into it, but at least open it up, get everything ready. So you see, I'll probably speed this part up. You see that? Feels pretty hefty, and it has a little thing here at the top that says do not open when it's hot, which makes a lot of sense. Here at the bottom you can see our bolts that we need to hold it in place. There's your bolts. Alright, here we go. Okay. Alright, so there's that. Let me do this to the little part I have over here. Okay, I'm also going to try to clean this part off a little bit too. Hopefully you can see that. There it is. Alright. That seems to clean it off the way it needs to be. Okay. Here we're on this section, we're putting the thermostat in, and if you remember, it came out, here it is, it came out with it looking like that. So I'm going to put it right back in, because when this gets back into the engine like it's supposed to, that pointy end is going out toward the radiator. So that's the way it should be. Here's the problem I'm facing with this. When I put the thermostat in here, and I start to bolt it up to the engine, I don't want it to, slide down like that. So to keep that from happening, I'm going to put a little bit of grease all the way around here, and that's going to keep that in place long enough for me to tighten it up against the engine and get a good seal. Because again, you don't want this to slide down. It needs to stay. There's a little groove there. It needs to stay in the groove. And if this was a lot newer, it'd probably have a better lip there to hold it in place, but it don't. So again, I'm going to use a little grease on that. So anyway, I want to come over here and do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, what I've done is I put a little bit of grease all the way around. Hopefully, that will be just enough to hold this in place. I could be wrong. Just tell you, I had to turn off the camera to get this on, but it's a really delicate type operation. You put that housing and everything together, and you put it up there really gently, and then you get your tube, and you're putting pressure against that housing, and then you put your bolts in. I think I've got it where it needs to be. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tighten it up. So that's one of those things. It was very tedious, and I had the camera off when I did it. So anyway, let's tighten it up now. You don't want to overdo it, but by the same token, I don't want this thing leaking. Alright, so there we go. We've got that. Now we're ready to bring our radiator over and put that in place. Alright. Get one going. Maybe I'll be okay. All right. Okay. Okay, on this shot, what we have is a picture. This is down, shooting from the bottom, from the ground up, and that's the bolt and the nut that goes on that holds the radiator on. Okay, on this next shot is simply a picture of it being tightened up. On the next shot, that's a picture of the upper radiator hose that goes from that housing that I showed you earlier, goes right up to the radiator. And this shot is showing you, I'm trying to compare between the two hoses, see which one's the best, and I chose the one that was actually a little bit bigger. At first I thought I'd choose the smaller one, but actually the bigger one was better, a better fit. And finally there it is in place. Okay, on this next section we're just simply putting the shroud back in place. As you'll notice, I've got a helper, and it does help to have somebody to assist as you're putting everything back together. And up here. I guess we put these here on there. There should be a couple of those like this. Are they? Yeah. Okay. Those are the big ones that go here. So I guess we go. Okay. All this over here. I think it is, Ant. Doesn't look like it. Now let's see if anything thumps when we turn on. Which turned up. It falls apart. Yeah. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much.